Welcome to Valkyrie Women's Confidential, the official podcast of Valkyrie Women's Pro Wrestling. I'm Rob Blatt, joined by my friend and co-host, Top Shelf Troy Nelson.
Going around that friend there, that friend word. Let's just calm ourselves right down there, Blatt. I'm an associate of anything, yes.
So, Top Shelf, usual question, what are you drinking tonight?
Absolutely. This is a two-parter. You can't be mixing drinks with different parts of the interview. It is still sponsored by, unofficially, Crown Royal Maple. It makes listening to other people talk bearable. Like yourself, Rob.
Well, I'm glad that it's bearable for you at the very least. We've got Kacee Carlisle for the next hour on the show. Part 2 of your interview with her to kick off Valkyrie Women's Wrestling Confidential. Heading towards March 7th at the Fun Station, Victory Boulevard in Staten Island, New York. Of course, the show starts at 3 p.m. with the bell at 4 and a special meet and greet between 6 and 7 after the show. VALKYRIE V Valhalla. Kacee Carlisle will defend the Queen of Valkyrie Championship against the baddest woman on the planet, Bonesaw Jessie Brooks. And in Jessie Brooks's corner, of course, the devil's son-in-law, Julius Smokes.
Sorry. Still, I had to, yeah. Oh.
It's a sound I'm not even willing to try, so I applaud your attempt, sir. And without further ado, we're going to jump right in to part 2 of Top Shelf Troy Nelson's interview with Queen of Valkyrie Women's Professional Wrestling, Kacee Carlisle.
So that brings me, I want to talk now, I don't know, maybe about, let me think about it. How about Valkyrie? Well, I want to talk about Valkyrie Women's Wrestling. Do you think we can do that, Kacee?
My kingdom.
Your kingdom. Absolutely. You have been with Valkyrie Women's Wrestling since day one. You've been a part. You've had 4 matches in 4 events. Before I want to maybe touch upon those matches. To you, whatever ones you want to talk about. All 4 of your opponents, specifically if anyone sticks out. But in recent years, I want to talk about this. I'm not going to mince words. Because this is the confidential. This is where you can get that confidential information, and we are friends. And I want to bring something up. I want to praise you, Kacee. Kacee, I want to praise you because I do remember the Kacee Carlisle of 2007 and 2008 versus the Kacee Carlisle of 2015. And Kacee Carlisle, you've got yourself into the best shape of your career. There is undoubtedly a visible appearance difference, and definitely one for the better, Kacee. Getting yourself in the best shape of your life. Can you touch upon that before we get into Valkyrie, if you don't mind?
Of course, and thank you for the compliment. I very much appreciate that. And you're absolutely right, yes. And it's funny that you say that because it's a topic that in my eyes is glaring. And it's kind of like, I'm surprised more people don't bring it up. And I'm surprised more people don't touch on it. And I think it's because of the subject at hand. And we're talking about my weight. That scary W word that nobody wants to touch.
Did you notice I didn't say weight when I said the
Even you won't do it. Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to mince words. I think I asked the question the right way. I mean, it's taboo. It doesn't matter if we're talking about athletes. It's just... And I don't want to be a hoity-toity talking about it in an age where we can just talk about this thing. But it was one that was like, oh, you're not brought up to talk about a woman's weight. But at the same time, we're talking about an athlete here. So it's just...
Look, in my eyes, it shouldn't be taboo because weight is weight. Like, I'm not you. I'm not any of the chicks on TV. I'm Kacee. I'm me.
And we wouldn't do you any other way. Absolutely.
Thank you. No, and it shouldn't be a dirty word. You know, you're right. It is taboo, and that's stupid. You know, like everyone wants to preach about individuality and uniqueness and be yourself and be proud of who you are. And then everyone, as soon as they're done saying that, they want to turn on their heel and do a 180 and start criticizing people for how they look.
Yeah.
And it's stupid. It's stupid. yes, I have lost a significant amount of weight. When I started, actually, my weight has fluctuated over the years, but as you said, I'm actually, yeah, I'm approaching my smallest, I think, right now that I've been since I've been wrestling. And when I say my smallest, I mean that I don't mean it in the way of there's big and there's small. I mean, I guess more lean. Um, you know, my wrestling career started when I was 25, which, you know, you're right in the middle of your 20s. And at that point in my life, as I said, I was never expecting to have my first match, but that aside from that, I also didn't have the mindset that I have now as far as I said, I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I never expected that I would have the level of success that I've had or that I would have the spotlights put upon me that I've had. Everybody wants that. And of course I wanted it. And I guess part of me knew it would happen because bitches please. But at the same time,
Bitches, please.
hashtag bitches please. But at the same time, I was 25. My head wasn't really there. And I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't working out. And it shows. And anyone can go back, and I'm not ashamed of it. Anyone can do a Google search and they can see pictures of me and probably wonder if it's really me in the picture or not. But there has been a transformation. And I think a lot of that, to be completely honest with you, I'm a human. I'm a queen, but I'm still a human.
Mm.
And my weight sometimes is affected by, you know, things happening in my life or, you know, things happening around me or the society in which we live in. You know, if I get
Which is
upset,
awful, by the way. Terrible
horrible,
society. Don't want to miss words there.
horrible. Yeah, horrible. No, of course. But no, you know, I just didn't have the same frame of mind at that point in time. And as time has gone on, I will say, to be completely blunt and honest with you, I feel like I'm one of the few people who has lost weight as I've gone on rather than put it on. And I'm not shooting on anyone or saying bad about anything, but I've made such a concentrated effort to lose weight, to get myself in better shape, but to be healthier overall. It's not even about the weight to me. I don't weigh myself. I don't own a scale.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I've weighed myself, but I know that I'm taking better care of myself overall. And I think that is a lot of the contributing factors to what you see when you look at me today versus what you were looking at when you looked at Kacee Carlisle in the early 2000s.
And you talk about not just seeing, but you have to feel it too. It's one thing, like we talk about image and everything, and just wrestling, and especially for women in general, just the gender talks of the year 2015. But my God, you must feel better, Kacee. It's got to have an impact health wise too.
Absolutely, I feel better. I will say this. Yes, I feel better. I feel better overall. I feel better mentally. I feel better in the ring. You know, I feel lighter on my feet. I feel more agile. Obviously, my cardio has improved over the years and so forth. However, it's funny you say my body, though, because I will say this. You would think my body would be feeling fantastic because I'm carrying less weight, but my body does because of the abuse I've put my body through over the years. My knees aren't so good. My back isn't so good. So I do have some physical owies. I'm going to say owies.
Can we put a hashtag on that?
Hashtag owies.
Hashtag owies. Hashtag bitches please.
Hashtag queen owies.
Queen owies. The serious ones.
But it's just one of those things. And I almost, in a way, and that's what I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't come up more often, to be honest with you. I really am, because as I said, anyone can do a Google search and they can see what you're referring to when you talk about my weight and how my appearance has changed and so forth. sometimes I almost feel like I did it quietly because you don't hear, like I said, people aren't talking. You don't really hear a lot of people, but I will say, I'm not going to say who it was, but there's a girl that I wrestled several times early in my career, 2006, 2007. And then I didn't see her again for several years. I saw her again in 2000, I believe it was 2012 or 13. I think 12. So that was approximately 5 years.
Yeah.
That had gone, and that's how indie wrestling is. That's how wrestling is. You could go years without seeing people. I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, it's so good to see." She didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
we had been in the ring together, and she looked at me weird at first because I think she was wondering why the stranger wanted to hug her, say hi, and I said, "It's me, Kacee." The look of disbelief that swept across her face. She was like, "Oh my God," like that. And that's when I thought to myself, oh, I guess I really have flown under the radar with how I've transformed over the years, because this girl that's been my opponent in years past didn't know who I was. So it's a little crazy in that sense. But, I'm so comfortable with myself right now. The way I look at it, I'm not a size 0. And newsflash, everybody, confidential exclusive.
Hit that bell. The fifth one. Hit the fourth one.
Fourth one. Kacee Carlisle is never going to be a size 0. Ever. I'm never going to be. So I'm extremely comfortable with myself now because I'm healthy and because I feel good and because I know how hard I work. And, I'm at that point where it's like, look, I am what I am. And I know that I am a hell of a good wrestler. I'm a hell of a good worker. And I know that I do what I do damn well. And if that means that I'm doing it with a little bit of jiggle around my waist, then so be it. You can either watch me or not. I'm not going to let people around me or let other people tell me what I should or shouldn't be, because they're not me. And I'm not somebody who gives in to pressure. I'm not somebody who just automatically does what I'm told. Again, it goes back to that whole following rules thing. Not so good with that. Not so good with it. So, it's just, people can take me or leave me, but at the bottom line, at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is I'm Kacee Carlisle, and I think that in itself is all that I need to say, and it speaks for itself.
Of course.
No matter what my weight is.
Absolutely. And I think it's a good message to not just anyone, any young woman that's breaking into the business, anybody. It's just, you have to, be happy, especially if you're working hard to be happy with what you've allowed yourself to accomplish, and take it as an accomplishment,
I don't need to post a selfie from the gym every day to know I'm working hard.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
I don't need to post something, letting everybody know I'm in beast mode and letting everybody know I'm in the gym so they can tell me how hard I'm working, because I already know that for myself.
See, you're going to show them in the ring.
I already know how hard I'm working, and I think that is translated when I step through the ropes.
Absolutely. So with that said, let's talk about your more recent forays through the ropes at the reason for the season, Valkyrie Women's Wrestling.
Kingdom.
Your kingdom. Your kingdom. I'm very excited. I've gotten the call. I found out I will be able to commentate your upcoming matchup with the Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, the baddest woman on the planet. I'm going to have to ask you. I apologize. I'm going to have you hold your comments. Hold your comments on the old Bonesaw there. Old bag of Bonesaw. And I just want to talk specifically. I don't necessarily want to go into detail about every one. I want to talk to you about specifically. I want to hear from you. 4 people: Jessie Belle Smothers, hardcore anime, a personal favorite of mine, LuFisto, Sumie Sakai, absolutely outstanding, another vet, as well as up here in the New England area, someone who I grew up with watching, Mistress Belmont. 4 very unique opponents. Talk to me about that. talk to me about specifically if there's any one you can break it down each one if you want. If there's any moments that stuck out specifically about those 4 matches, I just want to hear it. What are your thoughts on Valkyrie and the time you've spent with us so far throughout those 4 matches?
Valkyrie is doing an amazing job of bringing quality women's wrestling to that area. Amazing job. Every one of the 4 ladies you mentioned were incredibly formidable opponents, and they were all 4 opponents that I didn't take lightly, nor should anybody take lightly. My first opponent with Valkyrie was Jessie Belle Smothers, and she was not my original opponent. My original opponent that night was Mickey Knuckles. Yes. She ended up becoming injured, couldn't make the show, and Jessie Belle decided that she would step up to the plate because Mickey trained her. So she was going to step up to the plate and take Mickey's spot, and she was going to fight the good fight and win that match for Mickey. And guess what happened?
It didn't happen, Kacee. It
didn't happen, Top Shelf. Didn't happen.
That's an even more little southern draw in your voice there. That's not Virginia. That's what was that southern accent there? That was some Confederate accent there, I believe.
That happened. Jessie Belle. I've wrestled Jessie Belle several times. She's a very tough girl. She's a spitfire. I always describe Jessie Belle Smothers as a spitfire.
$2 word there. I majored in English. I know my literature. That's a $2 word, a spitfire.
Hot damn. So I'm the queen. I have to have a very wide vocabulary.
Absolutely.
She's a spitfire, and she's a hell of a competitor. And she completely had the advantage that night because I was not prepared to wrestle her that night at all. That match was made that evening. And I didn't go in ready to wrestle Jessie Belle Smothers. I went in expecting to have the night off, and I ended up having a match. But that's what I do. You want to back me up against a wall, and I'll come out swinging. And she put up a hell of a fight that night, but I guess it just wasn't enough of a fight, and I ended up, being victorious.
Absolutely.
From there.
We move on to hardcore anime, Miss LuFisto, and you want to, you talk about your Mickey Knuckles, and you did end up wrestling Jessie Belle Smothers. You're thinking like that Southern style brawler. Let's talk about brawling with LuFisto.
We have to.
I don't want to brawl with LuFisto. I'm a man. I really don't want to brawl with LuFisto. I'll be honest.
My head just started hurting when you said that.
Bet it did. I
just put that out there. How tough is LuFisto? How crazy awesome. That girl.
Those Canadian girls, I'll tell you. I got that French Canadian blood in me myself. She has that French Canadian blood all over her face usually after these matches.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. And LuFisto was always one of those girls that I came up in the business wanting to have the opportunity to wrestle. She was one of the girls I looked up to on the indies when I was breaking in, and when I was that greenhorn and I was that rookie looking for vets to pattern myself after, or to, kind of hold in a higher esteem and think, okay, she's doing the right things. LuFisto was always one of them. And when that match was made, I was thrilled. I was so excited to finally be able to have the chance to be in the ring with her and to compete with her. And that match to me, I'm gonna lay it out right here now. I want another match with LuFisto.
The gauntlet has been thrown. The gauntlet has been thrown to LuFisto.
I want another match with LuFisto because that match, I felt like
clear-cut winner. It did not have a clear-cut winner.
What? My memory went really fuzzy all of a sudden. I don't think I'm quite sure what you're referring to.
I remember a DQ. Can't necessarily remember who it in favor. I don't remember. I don't recall.
I mean, there might have been a steel chair involved.
Steel chair, but nonetheless, what you're saying is that there might be point in case to have another occasion with Miss LuFisto, perhaps, most hopefully, in a Valkyrie ring.
Look, the way I see it to be, I have to keep myself on my throne, but in order to do that, the best the best of the best, they have to come up and try to take my throne away from me. And that's when I get to just hip toss them right back out to the curb. And LuFisto is one of the best. So I would not be opposed to another match with her. But to have the match with LuFisto and then the next show to have to go into not only a match versus Sumie Sakai, but a match to determine the first ever Queen of Valkyrie. That's a little insane.
Absolutely.
Top shelf. What are they trying to do to me?
I mean, they're testing your will and testament, dear. To be the queen, you have to have the heart of a king, they say. And not so much a heart of a king of England, but a heart of a queen from Virginia, I suppose.
Well, that night I had the heart of the king of Brooklyn or something in me, because that's where the match took place. And there were several points during that match when Sumie Sakai almost pinned my shoulders to the mat for the 1, 2, 3.
Another just long time veteran of not professional wrestling. She's a kickboxer. She has a little bit of an MMA background.
A little bit. No, she has an MMA background, bro. She pulled that out on me during that match. There's not a little bit there. She has an MMA background. Let's call a spade a spade.
But
she pulled it on me.
Going tit for tat with Sumie. Sumie, who was undefeated going into that match, and she picked up a victory over Nikki Adams at VALKYRIE 4. She does have that only one blemish on her record. The person, Sumie, has wrestled the most matches in VALKYRIE. 3 on the first show, 1 of preceding shows. So she does have that one blemish in the form of Kacee Carlisle. So I'm left to believe you're calling out LuFisto. I'm left to believe it's only a matter of time before Sumie comes knocking on your door again.
I am completely open to another match against Sumie Sakai. I am completely fine with that because, again, you're talking about a top-notch competitor. And as you said, somebody who is a veteran of this sport, of this business, somebody who's been around for years. And I'll be honest, part of being a queen and part of being the best is being honest and is recognizing what you see in others. And Sumie is one of the best. And she is going to be a top challenger no matter what the date, no matter the location. She will always be a top competitor for any title that she wants to go after. Unfortunately, that includes mine.
Absolutely. Your most recent match, and arguably, we've talked about brawling with Jessie Belle. We've been talking about taking it to LuFisto. My God. That was my Valkyrie debut at the commentary booth, as well as my own business I had to tend to. But my God, Mistress Belmont. I grew up with Mistress Belmont here on the New England scene, growing up. Super tough, trained by the late Mofo Steve Bradley, former WWE developmental talent. Mm-hmm. He was Kurt Angle's very first match. He got Kurt Angle ready for the big times, they say. That's who Mistress Belmont was trained by up in the mountains of New Hampshire, beautiful Manchester, New Hampshire, my old stomping grounds. But you want to talk about someone who I don't know how much you knew about her background going in, other than she is a longtime vet. But my God, Mistress Belmont is another person who's recently got herself into the best shape of her career. And it showed, my God, did it ever show between the two of you this past January in New Jersey. And I think the most physical of all 4 matches that you've had thus far in Valkyrie women's wrestling. Your thoughts on Mistress Belmont, Kacee?
Without a doubt, the most physical. Without a doubt. And that's not to take away from any of the other 3 ladies at all in the slightest. But yes, without a doubt, that was the most physical match in Valkyrie I've had to date. Mistress Belmont, everything you said about her, true, and true. She is, honestly, she to me is one of the most underrated ladies that's wrestling today. And I think that a lot of people, after the match that we had in Woodbury Heights back in January at VALKYRIE 4, I really do think people are now starting to sit up and take notice of Mistress Belmont, because she is not somebody to take lightly, and she's not somebody to underestimate. To kind of touch on something you said, I actually have known Mistress Belmont since extremely early in my career.
I said at the beginning of the show, you spent some time in New England Championship Wrestling, Mr. Goldberg, Sheldon Goldberg's promotion, and Mistress Belmont has been there as long as I can remember. I'm talking about when I was 16 years old. I'm talking about nearly 10 years ago myself. Just remembering seeing her, and you saying you came up with Mistress Belmont.
Well, I mean, in a sense,
not in the same area, but in the same sense, started around the same time. I think you do have the advantage. I was going to talk about that soon. You are, in fact, celebrating a 10-year anniversary in wrestling just recently. I can touch about that in a minute, but I say definitely you and Mistress Belmont went tit for tat.
Yeah, she's a killer competitor. She and I started, as you said, I might have a leg up on her by a month or so, like literally very close to the same exact length of time. And yes, I knew her from working up in Boston in that area for Sheldon Goldberg.
The best city of winners.
The actual city, if I'm remembering correctly, was Somerset, Massachusetts.
There's a great creamery out in Somerset. You can get cranberry bog ice cream at the Somerset Creamery.
Which is just outside of Boston, yes. At that time,
was it Somerset or was it Somerville?
You're the one from that state. You tell me.
I remember they always used to run shows in a big was it an arcade?
Yes.
That would be Somerville. I remember the place. That place has since closed down. There was a big uproar. They always would show the WWE pay-per-views at that place. I can't remember the name of it, but it was Somerville, Mass. Yes.
It was called, I can't remember the name of it either. I was going to say Fun Time USA, but that's on March 7th in Staten Island, New York for VALKYRIE V.
Fun Station, yes.
Yeah, but no, yes, you're absolutely. My apologies to the town of Somerville. My bad, guys. Sorry. But bitches, please.
Hashtag bitches, please.
At that point in time, Sheldon Goldberg, as you said, is the promoter of NECW, and he started an all-women's promotion. It was Triple W. Yes. And that's the promotion where the mixed tag team match that you mentioned earlier, where I teamed with Brian Fury, took place.
Yeah.
That's where I met Mistress Belmont. I met her for the first time, I believe that was 2006. And that's where I met her for the first time. It was at a Triple W show up in that area. And I continued to see her up there. I worked up there a few times for Sheldon, and I saw her every time up there. I saw her here and there over the years after that, but not a whole lot. We always, we kept in touch online in some way, just the occasional like, hey, what's up? Or how you doing? Or, hey, I saw you did this. Way to go. Good job or something. But yeah, we never, having been in the business and wrestling as long as we both have been, that was our one and only encounter, was at VALKYRIE IV Ragnarok. That was the only time we've ever wrestled each other. And she brought it that night. She absolutely, and for anybody who hasn't seen that match yet, I very much encourage you to either purchase the video on demand off ValkyrieWomens.com or buy yourself a DVD, because she kicked my ass around that building.
There was a lot of asses kicked around that building.
And I think a lot of people would like to see that, to be quite honest with you. I think people would get some type of twisted, sick pleasure out of seeing me get the crap beat out of me by a woman who's like this good-looking blue-haired woman.
Indeed. That is Mistress Belmont down to a T. And I said that's definitely a match to definitely look up. As I was stating, I want to talk about real brief. I have so many different things I want to discuss. Before we talk about,
we might need a round two.
What's that?
We might need a round two.
Part duh. Get out of here, if only. I want to talk. I want to congratulate you on. We discussed. You're celebrating a 10-year anniversary this past month, correct?
This coming July.
This coming July. This coming July. You mentioned earlier. This coming July is the 10-year anniversary in wrestling for you, Kacee Carlisle.
In ring career, 10-year anniversary is right around the corner. And look, I'm an honest person, and I will say some people don't make a big deal out of things. Some people are like, I am going to make a big freaking deal out of my 10-year anniversary because, as I have said over and over during this podcast, never. Now, did I think I had it in me to be a queen and to be completely freaking amazing? Of course. Did I think that it would actually ever happen? I didn't know. And now I'm coming up on 10 years as an active professional wrestler. I'm hitting the double digits. God willing, I'll make it to July 30th, 2015, and I'll hit that 10-year mark. And to be completely honest with you, my friend, I'm excited about it, and I'm proud of it, and I'm happy. And I am going to bring attention to it and make a big deal out of it because, damn it, I set a goal for myself when I was an 8-year-old girl, and I saw that goal through, and I'm going to celebrate that because I think that's something that everybody should do.
Absolutely, but this is what I'm going to have to pose the question, the reason for the season, Kacee. 10 years this July, will you be entering July of 2015, your 10-year anniversary? Will you be entering that anniversary with the Queen of Valkyrie strap around your waist? Because at VALKYRIE V, Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, the matinee Saturday show, Fun Station in Staten Island, New York, doubleheader with Warriors of Wrestling, you defend your championship belt against, undoubtedly, the baddest woman on the planet, accompanied to the ring by Julius Smokes. I've always wanted to do that. Yeah, I know. It's really hard to do. I don't know how they can do it. They're just born with that ability to do that. Regardless, Bonesaw Jessie Brooks. We talked about how cool it was with Mistress Belmont. It has the chance to be just as physical with Jessie Brooks. Your thoughts, Kacee?
Just as, if not more, the self-proclaimed baddest woman on the planet. Let's make that extremely, extremely clear. The self-proclaimed baddest woman on the planet. It will be as physical, if not more physical, than my match with Mistress Belmont. Just when I thought, Troy, I thought, holy crap, my first title defense was that. It was that physical. My first defense, I got my butt kicked around a building and got completely annihilated and happened to just hit her with my... No. Now, being thrown in my path is Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, and it's not just Bonesaw. No, no, no. She has Julius Smokes with her in her corner. Wrestling fans...
He's been around the block, has Smokes been.
Wrestling fans need to know who Julius Smokes is. If they don't, then I question, because it's Julius Smokes. And I think anybody in that area especially is going to be extremely familiar with him.
Oh, man.
They've had some choice words for me lately.
I just recently saw on the VALKYRIE Women's YouTube channel some very choice words directed towards you, champ. And, you know, do you have a game plan? Do you go in and do you brawl the brawler? But my God, you look at the pedigree of Jessie Brooks, has spent time at the Ring of Honor wrestling camp under the tutelage of so many stars. My God, stars that have gone on to even greener pastures. You know, she's got the pedigree to do it. She's got the youth experience on her side. You know, I don't know. Is she quicker? Is she stronger? I mean, these are the questions we're going to find out on the 7th.
Whoa. Wait, stop.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I have no choice.
I feel like all of a sudden I'm on the phone with Levine. What's happening here?
Oh,
Are you turning on me?
Don't call me that ugly word, Chris Levine. No, don't be.
Are you turning on me?
Never. I'm not foolish, Kacee. I'm not.
Better. Is she going to do this? Is she going to do that? Here's what's going to happen. Yeah. March 7th. We have an afternoon bell time, as you said. We're double header, Warriors of Wrestling. Here's what's going to happen. Going to walk into the building on March 7th. The main event is going to be up. I will be standing in the ring. Across from me will be Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, practically foaming at the mouth, ready to take my title and my crown of queen away from me. That's bad enough on its own, but she has Julius with her. I feel like there's a little bit of a conspiracy happening, but I'm not going to go there. All I'm going to say is this. I had my own words for Jessie Brooks and for Julius Smokes. They're on YouTube. They're out there. I'll put them out there again. And my words for Jessie Brooks were very much along these lines. You can flap your gums all you want. You can sit there and cross your arms and you can glare at me until the cows come home. But the last time I checked, snarling and barking and glaring and puckering your lips don't win a title. And unfortunately for them, come March 7th, they're not winning a title. She might kick my butt. She's a tough competitor. As you said, she has that pedigree in her. Jessie Brooks, she's young. Number one, she's young. Number two, she's a trainee at Ring of Honor. She came through the Ring of Honor school. Number three, if anybody has kept up with Bonesaw Jessie Brooks over the years, they will know how much she has improved. They will know how much she has sharpened her skills and perfected what she does. She's like a little female Taz out there.
They call, I believe Julius Smokes calls her a pit bull in a skirt. She definitely looks like one of those pit bulls you see in the MSPCA commercials. The times you don't want to take home, but that's a story for a different day.
I actually want to take all those animals home because I feel bad for them. But that's neither here nor there. I'm thinking of Jessie
Bonesaw. Going to try to put down on the 7th, though. That's the one that's not getting adopted. Or so we think.
I think that Jessie Brooks is going to lay down such a challenge. Look, you asked me, what's my game plan? How am I going into this match? Top shelf, I'll tell you off the air because I'm not going to reveal it.
Because you're a thinking woman's wrestler, Kacee. That is why.
Because why would I tip my hand when I'm already facing somebody of the caliber of Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, somebody who I know has it in her? That's a hungry, hungry woman. Bonesaw Jessie Brooks is hungry to not only make a name for herself and to not only put herself on the map, but to defeat me and to become the next Queen of Valkyrie. She's gunning for it. And I know she's coming at me hard. And she has all these Valkyrie fans behind her. They love Bonesaw because she's so badass, because she knocks bitches out. By the way, I'm doing the little quotation gimmick with my fingers.
I could sense it all the way up here in Boston. I could sense it.
You felt that breeze, didn't you?
You know it. You know it.
Jessie can have all of the Valkyrie fans. I want the Valkyrie fans to be behind Jessie because, quite frankly, the Valkyrie fans are beneath me anyway. They're just more peasants in my kingdom. They're just more people that I rule over. I want them to be behind Jessie. Go be behind Jessie. Go fill up Fun Station USA on March 7th. Please fill every seat in the building and please cheer her so loudly that our ears are ringing, because that's just that many more people who are going to be wiping tears off their cheeks as they walk to their car that evening, as I am riding home in style, sporting my crown, and with my title in the passenger seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kacee Carlisle. I'm at a loss for words. It's going to be incredible. March 7th on Staten Island. I want to do a little bit of a lightning round with you right now, touch up upon some things before we send it home. Are you ready for some fast and furious answers to some pretty fantastic questions, Kacee? Are you ready?
I think I can handle this. I'm ready.
I'm going to drop a bombshell on you right to start. Another confidential on confidential. If Kacee Carlisle defends her Valkyrie Women's Championship, she defends the Queen of Valkyrie crown, she has her next defense in line already. Were you aware of this, Kacee? At the dog promotion the following month, if you can get past Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, your title will be up for grabs the first time that the Valkyrie Championship will be on the line at a non-Valkyrie show, the Dog promotion. You will be defending that championship against former WCW star Little Jeannie. Correct. This is news to you, Kacee.
What?
You're defending the belt if you can get past Bonesaw Jessie Brooks. Following month, dear. This is news to you.
April 10th, Friday. That's a Friday. April 10th?
Yes. As a matter of fact, you didn't know the belt will be up for grabs if you can defend it. Kacee, are you there?
Of course I knew that, top shelf Troy Nelson.
Yes.
Where do you talk? I'm a queen. I know everything. In fact, I'm the one who demanded that match to Really? I am?
Yes, you are I'm looking at my liner notes here. I thought you knew. But regardless,
Of course I knew. Of course I knew. Why would I not know that?
Of course.
Friday, April 10th, Dog. That's Clayton, New Jersey.
Clayton, New Jersey. Former WCW talent.
Former WCW Little Jeannie. She actually has been in this business for quite a long time. In fact, longer than me. This is going to be a very rare occasion when my opponent has the upper hand in the experience side of things.
It's been a while since it hasn't been that way. Interesting.
Yeah, that's rare. And I just want to make everybody aware of one thing here. I'm saying it will be because I think it's pretty clear, and I think that you, Top Shelf, are going to agree with me. I obviously have every single piece of confidence. I have no doubt that I'm going to find a way to get through Jessie Bonesaw. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. She's going to push me to my limit, but not over it. I feel confident that I'm going to find a way to eke out that. To win the match against Jessie Brooks. And yes, I have every confidence that I'll be going on to Dog to defend the Valkyrie title against Little Jeannie. Really? Former WCW star Little Jeannie.
Yes,
That's interesting because won't she be making her Valkyrie debut on March 7th as well?
Against Ashley America, my good friend, who fared very well. Yeah, go feel free to watch the match against Nyla Destroyer. But let's digress to our next question. Thoughts on these up-and-comers that we have in Valk, such like an Ashley America. Your thoughts on a Aja Perea, perhaps? What do you think of all these young women getting their chance in Valkyrie? They come in from all over to get an opportunity in Valkyrie Women's Wrestling. What do you think about these young up-and-comers? Have you been keeping an eye on anyone in particular?
I keep an eye on everybody equally. You know, I'm not going to do anybody the favor of making them feel like that they're above anybody or they're better than anybody. You know, if everybody hasn't noticed by now, it seems like the Valkyrie locker room has this thing. As I said, it's a conspiracy against your queen, Kacee Carlisle, because at the end of every single successful match that I have wrestled in Valkyrie.
Which is all of them. I do believe I recall.
4 for 4, baby. 4 for 4, baby.
Yeah.
There's always another female. They're always strutting out to the ring to challenge me for the next show. They are so confident. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how experienced they are. It doesn't matter how young they all. It doesn't matter. It's all of them. So when you're asking me about the roster, the girls in Valkyrie, these young wrestlers who are getting this great opportunity to wrestle for a company such as Valkyrie, who's putting women's wrestling on the map, who's doing so many positive things for women's wrestling, I think that it's a fantastic opportunity for them. And I can only hope that the girls are aware of the opportunity they have, are grateful for it, and actually seize the opportunity to try to make a name for themselves and try to put themselves on the map somewhere within a 3,000-mile radius of being good enough to have a shot at my Queen of Valkyrie title. The locker room is solid. It's a solid locker room, and there's a lot of young girls, there's a lot of veterans, and I think that's one of the things that makes it solid. You have a really good mix of veterans in that locker room. You have myself, you have Sumie Sakai, you've had LuFisto there, you have La Rosa Negra there, you have the girls who have Mistress Belmont. You know, she kicked my ass, but I got to give her props. You've got girls who are veterans, but then you also have these young girls who are coming up in the business today and who are wanting to make a name for themselves. And it is a fantastic opportunity. And I think that they're all capitalizing on it. I think they are all seizing the opportunity. And I think they're all doing everything they need to do to make it the best that it can be and to better themselves. I think that they're gaining experience, they're gaining knowledge, and I think that they're just going to continue to grow. And I think the Valkyrie fans are extremely fortunate to be able to see these girls come in to Valkyrie from all different areas. They're not just the same local girls that you see in that area. They're coming from all over. And there are so many females that want to be part of Valkyrie from all over. They're coming in from all over the place to be here. And the fans are fortunate. The girls are fortunate. Sucks to be them. They're never going to be queen. But aside from that, you know, it's a solid locker room. It's a solid roster. And I think everyone's really just taking advantage of it and doing what they should be doing with it, which is exploiting it and just working their butts off.
Next question. In the recent past couple years, a big trend on the indies, and I really do mean it's becoming more popular and popular, is the thought of a man versus woman wrestling match. And it's not that talk about something that isn't taboo. It's becoming more and more frequent. I want to talk about you being, I'd say, more so in that old school mentality of professional wrestling coming up in the late 90s. How do you feel about the man versus woman wrestling? How do you feel about the mixed wrestling matches?
My opinion changes sometimes. To be honest with you, it changes a little bit. I've been involved in mixed matches, so I would be a hypocrite to say that I'm against them. You know, because I have been involved in it. I'd be a hypocrite to say they shouldn't happen because then I'm taking work away from myself. I think it's one of those situations where, you know, mixed matches in wrestling have been around forever. Forever. You know, you've seen it happen, whether it's happened on a large national scale or it's happening in your local independent promotion. It happens, and it happens for a variety of reasons. I think that the acceptance or the lack of acceptance for mixed matches is 100% driven by whatever society in this country is feeling at that point in time. Because for a long time, I saw people raving about them and raving about the fact that men were finally respecting us women enough to share the ring with us and to compete with us and to be in there with us in the first place as equals, rather than the women either, you know, having to be in the ring with another woman or being regulated to a role of a valet or a manager. These days, I am also now seeing a lot of chatter about it being so incredibly wrong for a man and a woman to share the ring and to be in there together, and going on the whole domestic violence spin. And, you know, men shouldn't be beating up on women. And no matter what anyone's opinion of professional wrestling is, I will tell you this from my experience. The girls I wrestle leave the ring hurting, bruised, sometimes bloody. Trust me, they hurt. And I know that goes for a lot of other people too. And so I've seen a lot of people lately spouting off about it's not right for a guy to hit a girl. It's not right for them to be in there. And it's really interesting to me that public opinion among wrestling fans can change so drastically over kind of a short period of time. It's really interesting. Me, myself, I don't have a problem with it. I have nothing negative necessarily to say about the idea of me wrestling a guy or of another female wrestling a guy, because I feel like like I said, I look at it more as, number one, sometimes it's just one of those things that happens. We're talking about professional wrestling. It's just one of those things that comes about and that happens. It could be part of something happening in that promotion. It could be a last minute situational, circumstantial influenced situation. You don't know. But I think at the end of the day, just like anything else in this business, I think it boils down to professionalism and respect. And if professionalism and respect are in place with the participants, I have nothing to complain about, because I know that that's what should trump anything and everything. And at the end of the day, we're all supposed to be pros. We're all supposed to be peers, colleagues in the same fraternity. We're all supposed to get it. I'm not saying we all do. We're all supposed to get it. That's my thought on it.
An interesting take, to say the least. And I think it's
interesting takes is what I do. I've learned that over the years. Apparently, I have a very unique opinion on a lot of things.
I say, well, I think, and like it does boil down to respect, and it takes it back to what we were talking about earlier, and how each person is brought up in the business. How much, and to be able to cater to fans too. To see at what level that they're going to respect what you do. And, it's to get too much into it, but to,
right.
The fan, the story of the fans dictating us versus us dictating the fans. And when it comes to something like a mixed wrestling match, it's truly, I agree with.
I'm a dictator.
Understandably so. Couple more here for you, real quick. Hit you up.
Troy, I don't mean to cut you. I just want to tell you one more thing. My thought on the mixed thing. I just had a thought on that subject matter. I will tell you, there have been times in training in the past when I have been either assisting with training or, just showing the guys something. And I've had situations where the guys don't want to do anything with me. They don't want to learn this move because it involves them touching me. It would involve them, for example, there was a guy that didn't want me to put him in a headlock because of where his head was going to be. It was going to be right on my boob. And he didn't want to do it. He felt like it was wrong or he was uncomfortable. And I got on him so bad. I said, when we are in between these ropes, we're equals and there is no gender right now. I'm teaching you something. So you're either going to put your head against my boob and deal with it or get out of the ring.
I think that's where I think the respect things. And I mean, but that was a teaching moment for that young student. I think if anything, it was a teaching moment more than anything. That sums it up.
I just wanted to throw that as an example.
As long as he learns from it, it's a good teaching moment, I suppose. As long as he can get over that, and
correct.
Like you said, it's a bit.
And I wasn't trying to be rude, and it's not. It had nothing to do with gender. It had nothing to do with sex. It had nothing to do with anything other than you told me you wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I'm trying to teach you how to be. Now, either do it or get out of the ring and stop wasting all of our time. So that's what it boiled down to for me at that point in time, just with that one example.
Absolutely. Oh. How about favorite matches or favorite match? If there's one that boils down, when I uttered those two words, favorite and match, who was the first? Maybe not two or three, but who was the first thing that came into your head when I said favorite match? There was definitely someone that just popped in there when I said favorite match. Who was it? Who was it and why?
You're right. I did have a couple that kind of popped in. And I have a few that I will give to you, and they're in no particular order. I will say one of my favorite matches is my first one because it was my first one. Not because of the quality of the match necessarily, but because it was my first match, and that is special to me. It will forever be special to me. And if you're a wrestler and your first match isn't special to you, I question you. The other one I'll mention is my match with LuFisto at VALKYRIE 3. Yeah. I'm sorry, VALKYRIE 2. That was VALKYRIE 2. Because, as I said, LuFisto was always somebody who I looked up to within the business when I was a young wrestler. And I had that opportunity, thanks to VALKYRIE, to be in the ring with her. And it was an awesome experience. And as I said, it was one that I am more than happy and excited to replicate and to do all over again. So that is a highlight for me. The other one I'll throw out there that sticks out to me, was the night that I did win the NWA Women's World Title. And again, that's because of the history and everything that leads up to it. That was one of the times in my career when I honestly and purposely took a minute to lay on the mat and actually listen to the ring announcer make the post-match announcement, to hear my name announced as the new NWA Women's World Champion, because of, as I said, everything that led up to it. Me growing up as such a wrestling fan, wanting to be a wrestler, just like we were saying earlier, for my name to be tossed onto that list permanently in the history books was unfreaking real. So I did take a minute to sit there and take that in, and that match will always be special to me too. So off the top of my head, those are three for you that I hold in very high esteem.
Well, very good. I'll say, I'm sure people can scour YouTube, scour their DVDs to find those matches. Is your first match up on the YouTube website by chance, Kacee, or is it not?
My first match is actually now exclusively available on my new and first DVD that is out and available for purchase on my website.
Your website? Now, let's just say that I want to head over to your website. What would the URL be? Plug. What do we got?
URL would be www.kaceecarlisle.com, my official website, where you can find upcoming appearances. Of course, you'll find updates to the website. There's a feed to my Twitter there, my upcoming schedule, photos, videos. Yeah, and my merchandise. I have 8x10 photos that are autographed. Will come to you autographed, available for sale. I used to wear some furry boot covers over my boots. The remaining pairs that I have are up for sale there. And my very first DVD that highlights some of my matches from the early years of my career, which span from 2005 until 2009, is available on my website as well. And yes, my very first match ever against Chrissy Vane is on my DVD.
Of course, very good, very good. And I'm gonna leave you. I have one last question. This hard hitting, confidential interview. I need to know what is the best rib that either you yourself have pulled, or if you're not a prankster, the best rib that you have actually seen in your decade plus in the business. If you've been a part, if there's one you've been a part of, I definitely want to hear it. If you're not much of a jokester, then which one have you seen that just was just
top shelf? Tori Nelson, you know that ribs are shush. Yep. You know some of those can't be repeated.
Of course they can.
I will tell you the one and only rib that I ever relay, and part of that is because it's the one that I know I can share publicly and it's cool. The other reason for that is, to be completely honest with you, I have not been involved in that many ribs directly. I've been involved directly.
You're too busy focusing on business, and that's how
I'm too busy working. I don't have time for ribs
around your waist right now. Shenanigans.
Exactly. But I will really quickly, before we wrap up, tell you about the one rib that I was not part of, but witnessed. And yes, I was standing there cracking up during it. Flashback to 2007, I believe, Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Oh, population 14. All of them were there at the show. Go on.
I believe that's the town in which Mr. Belvedere was located. Little tidbit there, the old sitcom.
I have a bottle of him next to my bed. Oh, sorry, Mr. Belvedere. Oh.
Wrong Belvedere.
Sorry, that's all right. Go ahead.
So Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, we were in town for a double shot for the House of Pain / NWL. I've mentioned both of those promotions earlier in this interview. We were up there for a show. What we did was we did a kind of an autograph signing meet and greet at a local bar and restaurant the first night, and then the following day was the show. Well, as you can imagine, all the boys were in town for the weekend, and we were having a good old time like we always do. So we get back to the hotel and we're chilling, we're hanging out. It's fun, it's laid back, it's cool, it's the boys. It's what I live for. And then the first guy fell asleep, which is always...
Let me tell him where he made his first mistake, right about there.
As soon as you are the first guy asleep, you have already made your bed. You've already put that last nail in your coffin. He had been drinking, and so he wasn't just asleep. Brother was out like a light. And I'm not going to say who it was just because I don't know if it's cool for me to say it or not. One of the boys had the really good idea of shaving the eyebrows of said passed out wrestler.
Oh.
Knowing that we had a show the next day. And so the electric razor got pulled out, and he was so passed out he didn't know. Didn't know what was happening.
I can so loud, the electric razor, you got to be out like a light to not hear that.
That tells you how out he was. He was kind of on his side. They turned him over onto his back. They proceeded to shave his eyebrows completely off. And yes, that tells you how out he was. Needless to say, the next morning when he woke up, it's the day of the show. We all have to go wrestle. We have to perform. He wakes up with no eyebrows, and he was the butt of every single joke for the next, I don't know how long. It was so funny. And it that's one of those ribs that's not going to really hurt anybody. I'm not into ribs that actually cause like pain and suffering, but God, that was damn funny. It was so damn funny. And so that was like, that's my rib story that I tell when I'm asked about that, because it's safe and doesn't really incriminate anybody.
Oh my goodness. Miss Carlisle, the pleasure was all mine. I don't want you to take it because it was mine. All of it. All the pleasure was mine.
Thank you.
I think there could be a part 2 to this. There's so much more I want to ask you when your career spanned so long. I appreciate you for putting up with me. And I want to end every single one of my interviews with this. Simple. Drink of choice, Kacee Carlisle. What is it?
I'm sipping on a vodka cranberry right now. I can't go wrong with a vodka cranberry.
Simple, neat, clean. Kacee Carlisle will defend her Valkyrie, the Queen of Valkyrie crown, against Jessie Bonesaw Brooks, March 7th. The Fun Station in Staten Island is part of a doubleheader with Warriors of Wrestling. Kacee Carlisle, thank you again for your time, dear.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing all the Valkyrie fans, Fun Station USA, and I also look forward to defeating Bonesaw Jessie Brooks that evening.
Part 2 of Top Shelf Troy Nelson's interview with Kacee Carlisle on Valkyrie Women's Wrestling Confidential. If you missed part 1, of course, you can find it on Valkyrie Women's Professional Wrestling's YouTube channel. Search for Valkyrie Women's Pro on YouTube. You'll find it there. I'm sure you can find it on ValkyrieWomens.com, the official website of Valkyrie Professional Wrestling. Search up Valkyrie Women's Professional Wrestling on Facebook for more there. And then, of course, on Twitter at Valkyrie Women's. Of course, also on that show, VALKYRIE V, Valhalla, we have Kacee Carlisle, as we've discussed, against the baddest woman on the planet, Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, with the devil's son-in-law, Julius Smokes. A 2 out of 3 falls match between I believe this is how it said, La Rosa Negra. With I try. What was that?
Tivo or Estrella en La Rosa Negra.
There you go.
Get it straight. And no longer Debbie, but the lovely
Natalie, the Secretaria de Defensa. I'm not even going to attempt an accent on that one. Versus Hanaya, the Howling Huntress. That's, again, a 2 out of 3 falls match. We've got Sumie Sakai, 5-1, against Southern Hostility, Lexia Avery, who you may know as formerly Miss Dyslexia. We've got Ashley America going against Little Genie. And then, of course, We've got Top Shelf Troy Nelson's Open Challenge.
That's right. My open challenge to Nyla Rose was accepted. Tick-tock and tick-tock Nyla. March 7th, my diva puts to rest your little mind games and spooky tricks. I promise you that.
And then Boston Strong versus the Georgia Peach for the first time ever. Davienne versus Nina Monet. Card subject to change. And we've got even more in store for you that day. So do not miss VALKYRIE V Valhalla at the Fun Station USA on Victory Boulevard in Staten Island, New York, March 7th. Tickets start at $15. You can get front row tickets. You can get meet and greet tickets. Top Shelf.
I might be signing autographs. 8, 5, 10.
Top Shelf and I will see you there. And we will also see you next time on VALKYRIE Women's Wrestling Confidential.